guys, make sure you share the live if y'all can, please.
Hey.
Derrick.
Sorry, this is like my first time doing this whole live thing in a while, so I'm just like, okay, let me get familiar with this.
Welcome
to the show.
Thank you. Thank you guys for inviting me and for having me on it.
Our producer's back too. Thank you, Nathaniel, for coming back.
Awesome.
But
yeah, thank you guys for having me.
Let me actually go through your little intro, bring you in. Our next guest, or our current guest, is the meaning of more than meets the eye. He's an author of 3 books, which are all available on Amazon right now. He's a poet, a playwright, and he can sell you a home as a realtor. Ladies and gentlemen, and non-binary people, welcome to the Pink Clubhouse, Derrick Whitsett.
Thank you. Thank you for that introduction, guys. That was much appreciated.
Definitely. Derrick, I've known you, well, I don't know you, but I've known of you. We know of each other for a very long time.
Yeah.
But for our audience, we like to take the time to get to know our guests. So tell us, how does your story begin? How did you get to be the Derrick Whitsett you are today?
Oh, gosh, that's always a mouthful of question, because I'm just like, I've been around for like ever. Say it again. So, I grew up in Brooklyn, New York, Bed-Stuy specifically, and pretty much was a very quiet, timid guy. And like things like this, I would never do in front of anyone. I was always closed off and reserved. And how I got to this point was just like writing was my form of expression and just getting things that I wanted to say. And kind of like the minute I would say maybe went to the next level after elementary school, was at junior high, and one of my teachers was just like paying attention to my writing patterns and how I express myself. They pretty much were adamant that I was going to be a writer at one point in my life, and here I am years later actually doing it. So yeah, that's where we are now.
You are sorry.
No, I was saying he is here.
You are an author of 3 books. Tell us more about the books and what drew the inspiration to create the characters that are in the book.
Yeah, definitely the inspiration between all. So I actually have officially two books that are published independently, and one a rap note, which is
congratulations, by the way, because I know that's a very tough process.
Yes, I went through a lot of course, like with any self-published authors, a lot of rejection letters and things of that nature telling you to tweak it. So I kind of, at that point, took it to my hands. Well, if you don't want to tell my story, I'll tell it myself, and I'll figure out how to do it. And during the pandemic, when pretty much everything was at a standstill, was when I finally said, let me create the story that I've been working on for years and put it out there. And that's how my children's book, A Rap's Notes, was created. That was loosely based off of my own life experiences dealing with a parent that passed shortly right after high school, which a lot of kids I know deal with, but I kind of do it in a way where it doesn't come off as that's the story. Ultimately, Araf is a prodigy who grew up in Pittsburgh, PA, where I'm originally from, and he's just going through these trials and tribulations where he's trying to find his way, where his parent is actually, his parent, meaning his mom, is kind of hounding him to do things to follow his dreams. And he's just like at that rebellious stage where he doesn't want to do it. And I kind of throw in all these mystical forces that kind of like bring him to reality in a sense. And then with my novel that was released last year, and it'll be approaching a year in a couple of weeks now, which I'm very excited about. That was loosely inspired off of, again, my life experiences being open, gay man living in New York City, dealing with the healthcare system. There was a situation, years ago, where I didn't have the best resources or knowledge about HIV, and I was caught up in a situation where I had to pretty much figure out how to get access to a medication called PrEP, which is pre-prophylactic exposure, I believe that's the acronym, and needed it without actually getting my parent or mom involved. And it was just hard. There was a lot of denial saying that you have to go through this channel, and I didn't want to deal with it at that time. And I was thinking, and not even deal with it. It was just a lot of people telling me it's cost a lot of money, and that was for someone 24, 25 at the time, it was just like, I don't know exactly 100% what HIV is and all these different things. What do I have to do to get this without bringing a whole bunch of people in? And that kind of created the story of, well, if I'm dealing with this as someone who's HIV negative, I can only imagine what somebody who is positive is dealing with it. And it ended up kind of growing from there.
Right. Yeah. Well, your books are actually, they're based in fantasy, but they art often imitates life. So how does your books imitate or relate to your life beyond what you've told us already?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
How do your books imitate your life in a way?
Honestly, I would say going beyond what we've already talked about, I feel like it kind of imitates my life, just as it's not necessarily something that the everyday person is dealing with, but it's something that if you look at it from the outsider looking in, you kind of would know exactly how to navigate or deal with certain situations that have actually been presented to you. So I think it's kind of the best way to answer that question. I'm sorry.
Only your answer is the best answer. Don't worry. Yeah. I know this is a little nerve-wracking for you, but
no, go ahead.
No, I mean, you reached out and like we don't always we don't give out our questions and nothing like that, but we are a safe place. So
got it.
Yeah. Don't ever worry about hearing other people.
I was trying.
They do other shows, gotcha kind of moments, but we are, and I definitely am inspired by you and what you do. So,
thank you.
So your website details a lot of the trauma that you've been through. How has the trauma and things that you've gone through contributed to your success, such as the passing of your parent? So you only have one remaining parent left, correct?
Correct, yeah.
Okay, mother or father?
Mom, yeah.
Wow,
yeah.
That is so crazy. That's crazy because I connect with you on a more personal level, because right after high school, after my freshman year of college, my father passed away. So it is right.
Yeah, it was definitely God, and when I think it's been like almost 13, 14 years, but it was one of those situations was like I never thought I would live my life without my dad, and just like hearing something unexpected that he passed was kind of like changed the whole perspective of me, and I kind of had to grow up, let's say overnight, like the moment it happened. And it's definitely taught me that although he's not here in the physical form, I mean, he still is here in different forms. Yeah.
Did your grieving process, did it strengthen you? Did it weaken you in a sense? Did it make you susceptible to a lot of stuff, the aftermath of his death?
I definitely say it strengthened me a lot, just because I was being that I just pretty much was starting starting college at the time. It made me definitely more independent. Granted, yes, my mom was there, but it was just like I need to do things on my own and not rely on just my parents and stuff. And then also, granted, prior to his passing, and it kind of relates more to being a gay man, I always had these kind of reservations about actually talking about anything related to being gay. Kind of like growing up, it wasn't really talked about. With certain members of my family on my mom's side, it was, but then on his side, it was kind of like nothing, non-existent. So in a way, it kind of propelled me to be who I am now and just be openly and talk about anything that deals with LGBT members.
Wow. I feel like we're related, but that is so amazing that you've navigated after your father's death, because a lot of people don't realize how hard it is to lose a parent at an early age. And then you have to figure out how to navigate all the holidays, birthdays, and whatnot after they're gone without them. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
And it's funny enough, we're really... because before I used to get like extremely emotional about like his passing every year, but almost a few days ago, September 4th, actually, ironically ironically, is one of my favorite artists' birthday, Beyonce. But his birthday was the same day as that, and there wasn't any type of emotion or just like doubt in it. Like almost, I don't want to say like he didn't exist anymore, but it was just like I can deal with it now.
Right. Right.
So a few years ago, you were working on a musical titled Love Scenario, which talked about some of the trauma you went through and your journey. Is this musical still in the works, and do you plan on creating more musical and plays?
It is. Thank you for bringing that up. It is still in the works. I kind of had to not put a pin on it, but I had to like table it for a little bit while I get things situated with my novel. But that's definitely still in the works. It's something that's going to relate a lot to, without saying everything about it, but it's going to deal a lot with the hookup apps, Grinder, Jack, and things like that. And yeah, it's definitely something. I wish I could talk about it, but yeah, it's definitely something. I'm excited for it.
I say things that definitely take time, and if you think about it in a way, like the way you're taking your time with it is the way it's supposed to happen. Yeah. So, let it flourish, because we all know it's going to be good.
Thank y'all. Okay.
Absolutely. Your company is MYOOZBYDERRICK, if I'm saying that correctly, MYOOZBYDERRICK Entertainment Group. Tell us more about this and what can we expect from MYOOZBYDERRICK?
Yeah, so it's pronounced music. It's just the Latin spelling of it. Yeah. So Music Entertainment Group is just a small entertainment company that's going to deal with written media, my books, of course, and written media, plays, anything, and real estate as well. That talks about a lot of the Black experiences. And I'm looking at the comment about casting calls. Cool. I will.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's going to talk about anything that reflects us, basically, and it's going to tie into a lot of other projects that I have hospitality related, and that's where real estate comes in to play as well. I've been a licensed agent here in Houston, where I've lived for the past 2.5 years, and it's been a thrill. And tying in a lot of the concepts of hospitality with that, and then merging into with music entertainment, I feel like it's gonna. The idea of it is to help a lot of people who are misfortunate and don't know anything with real estate, how to get them into a home.
You want to go see Beyonce this weekend?
I saw her in LA, so I'm not going to get the opportunity, but I definitely was checking the website to see if there's any cheaper tickets.
It is her hometown, so yeah.
Yeah, I've got a lot of people that said that they're going to come out here, and I'm just like, I want to join, but not right now.
So with your real estate, because we were going to get right into that, and I'm happy you brought it up. Is there anything that you could tell potential home buyers about in this market? Because the market's up and down. Is it a time to buy? Is it a time to sell? What's going on in Houston?
Yeah, in Houston, honestly, it's always a good time to sell and buy. It's more so a matter of just honestly making sure that, and as much as people really, really say you got to have it together, you really got to have your credit together, in a sense. I'm not saying it has to be perfect at like a 600 or 700s, but it makes sense whenever you going into these programs to have a loan, or just like even speaking about the home process, that you don't have a lot of high debt in your background, because it's shunned upon, but then also you can end up getting a loan where you end up being upside down. And yeah, it's a lot. And I've always been telling people, you don't have to buy immediately if you don't have the funds for it. At least rent for a year and see what it's like to actually be a homeowner, and then we can go into that process. And there's a lot of rent-to-own opportunities out there.
Yeah, and that's another thing with like you were saying, clearing up the debts. People don't know about, because it took a long time to because you don't even know about certain things. Mm-hmm. I feel like when buying a house, people are like, they get so deep into your. Now, how is it that the U.S. can owe so much money and we can't owe nothing?
Right.
It's like
like it's so that, and it's just like I'm grateful that I took the leap of faith to try real estate and see what it's like, because honestly, it's helped me a lot. to figure out my credit situations. Because I feel like I was just like everybody else in their early 20s who opened up credit cards, wanted to try different things, and then you don't realize when you ignore these things that they come up years later. Even if that whole 7-year thing is still a myth that everybody talks about. It falls off of the 7 years. That's a myth. I don't believe that.
So it doesn't fall after 7 years? It stays on there forever?
It doesn't stay. It'll fall off, but it's still going to come up there once we start digging into it when it comes to a home buying process.
Okay.
Would you say it matters for certain people, not all people? Because I found in my, like, when it was time to get where I live, it was like we got approved for one thing, but then it was so much higher at literally another firm with the same information.
And that's because that loan that you didn't pay off, that credit card, is still attached to your name in a way. So that's why your interest rates ends up being jacked up, really.
Yeah, there's so much to home buying that's really crazy.
That is so crazy. I definitely respect homeowners. I don't see it ever in the foreseeable future. It's just like, it's after you get the house, you got to work on the house, and it's beautiful to own a home. But for me, it's like, turning 30 this year, it's like, I don't really want to take much to the grave with me, because once I'm dead and gone, there's not going to be much left behind me, because I don't plan on having children.
Okay.
So it's just like, I really see myself possibly living on a cruise ship for the rest of my life, because I love the water. The water energizes my spirit in a different way. But I know things are different for everyone. My best friend is a homeowner, and I just talk to her and inspire her through the process all the time, because when you have to fix something, it all comes back on you.
That's correct. And I was going back and forth with this years ago, if I wanted to be a homeowner and not necessarily for me want to pass it on to other family members or just like kids, because I do plan in the future to do that. But I think just having ownership over something and building equity just it's kind of cool, for lack of a better word. It's kind of cool, especially considering that you don't have a lot of people that look at us that are home buyers or homeowners, really.
You're definitely right. You're definitely right.
That whole idea of, I don't want to have to worry about fixing something, that's pushed out to us.
Yeah.
Especially people who look like us, just to deter us. But you have like homeowners insurance and things of that nature.
Right. There's a lot of things I don't mean to cut you off. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say that when you compare it to rent, it's like it's way
the same thing. Yeah.
Or the same thing. Yeah.
Now that's a conversation for another day, because I was going to ask and get into equity in terms of other forms of equity, like leaving behind like a legacy fund or a scholarship fund or something. Do you plan on doing other things besides like real estate?
Yeah, I'm actually, my plan is, besides real estate, I would love to do things more hospitality related, to tie that in. So I'm definitely thinking about things with the restaurant industry, thinking about things with theme park industry. There's a lot of things in the pipeline that I have, and I'm just excited where the year is taking me. Not the years, but the future is taking me.
Right. Nice. So your journey of life has been one of many challenges and obstacles that has not stopped you. Where do you pull the strength from, and who inspires you in your time of need?
Oh gosh, I would definitely say in my time of need, I definitely look at not of course, because guys don't know, but I look at my mom as inspiration for sure. Yeah, she has, I don't know how she does it when I was growing up, but like I feel like she rubbed 2 nickels together and made $1 out of 15 cents, and just like without even necessarily relying on my dad or even my stepfather at the time. And I looked at her as, even though she didn't go to school or do anything, the fact that she was just doing that and raising 3 kids, myself and 2 sisters, and just like really hustling, kind of put the fuel in my back that anything that I want to do or accomplish, because she's already done it or continues to do that, is kind of just like, I don't have any excuses to pussyfoot. Yeah.
And by the way, our fans are here, and well, the viewers, I should say, well, fans, right? Because they're
Yeah.
our thing, saying that you would look good running a fancy restaurant.
Oh, thank you, thank you.
And by the way, there was one thing that you always would do. You talked about theme parks, and I always thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Not to get off of my next question, because you have so many things that you do want to do, and you're a Black man, and you're multifaceted, which is beautiful. Are there any plans to write a book, and also about your life? And would you ever think of even opening like a theme park? I'm gonna mix those 2 questions.
Yes. So so there is a plan to open up a theme park that has a lot of things, my book projects related to it. I want to say it's kind of like what Disney is in a sense, but I want everything that I wrote to be a part of that, that theme park project, and that I'm excited about. And what was your other question? I'm sorry.
Oh, pretty much that if you were going to open a theme park and write a book about your life.
Like an autobiography? Yeah. I never.
Because you do talk about a lot on your website, but would you ever let it all spill out?
Maybe not necessarily as an autobiography, but I think more so just creating it in fantasy worlds where there's different pieces of me that are there. You just have to figure it out on your own.
Right. And by the way, behind you is your book, and if you could show everyone,
if you
don't mind, your new book, your current book, I should say, Seropositive. It's very beautiful. The cover. Bring it closer. Show the people.
Yeah, I can say, yeah.
It's a beautiful book.
Beautiful.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And it's available everywhere. Books are sold, Barnes and Noble, Amazon, just everywhere. And if you guys want a personally autographed copy, just hit me up and we can set that up.
Thing you're selling, so.
So I don't know if you're allowed to say this, but you said you're going to get into hospitality. What cuisine are you most excited about in terms of opening a restaurant?
Oh gosh, I would love to do a mix of I think I would do a mix of honestly every type of food that I like, from Chinese to soul food to Italian, just a mix of everything together. And I think that's a project that I will rely heavily on. Of course, my mom, but I will rely heavily on her to influence it, because I just think that she's passionate about cooking, and I want it to be a family project for that.
I can already think of I can already think of, with you saying the food, I can already think of like a seafood egg roll with like a lobster cream cheese inside. Okay. And then call the egg rolls Heavy D's, because there's a lot inside the egg roll.
I like that. I think I can do with that.
So if you see Heavy D egg rolls anywhere else, I'm gonna
make sure that the Pink Clubhouse knows about it.
No. Whoever is watching, do not take that idea that I gave him, because this is a safe space. So, yeah. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. You just stated where we could find your book. Other projects that you're working on, where can we find those? What socials are you on? Yeah,
so you can find me on social media, Music by Derrick, for anything related to my books and media, Music Entertainment Group. And you can, of course, it's quicker to find me on Instagram. I respond pretty quickly, and yeah, that's where everything is. I'm looking at the comments again. I thought I gotta turn the comments off next time I do something like this.
I can see. Okay, so I'm gonna come to Houston in like 5 to 7 years, and you're gonna have a food truck, and it's gonna be an egg roll, and then literally you're gonna have like a little window in the front, and it's gonna be heavy these egg rolls.
Yes, yeah, I'm with it. I'm down for it.
Okay.
And look, Derrick, you actually have people saying they're already on Amazon. Custom by She is already getting your book, so they want that autograph copy. Tell them how to get that autograph copy again.
Oh, just send me a DM and we can work out the logistics on that. Yeah.
There you go, Custom. So send him a DM first before you, I think, get it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank y'all.
Absolutely. Continue to do great things. I'll be looking out for the food truck and the restaurant.
Yes,
I love food.
And then the musicals and everything else. Thank y'all.
Absolutely.
Jazz
Have a good one.
You too.